Welcome to Homeschooling and Life Unfiltered with Court and Jess, where real talk meets real life. Court and Jess are two friends, fellow moms, and business partners who live in different time zones and juggle homeschooling alongside motherhood and entrepreneurship. Jess is a mom of 8 and Court is a mom of 7, and together they're raising 15 kids and navigating the wild, wonderful world of homeschooling, each in completely different ways. Every week, we invite you to pull up a chair for honest conversations, practical tips, and uplifting encouragement. You'll hear from moms across the country who are homeschooling in a way that works best for their families. Whether you're a veteran homeschool mom just getting started or somewhere in between, this is your space to feel seen, supported, and inspired. Because no matter how different our paths may look, we are all in this together. Hi, welcome to Homeschooling and Life Unfiltered with Court and Jess. We are starting a 4-week little mini-series on deep diving into the curriculums that we're using in our houses or have used in the past or going to try next year, all different kinds of things. We're going to do language arts first this week. We're going to do math next week. Then we're going to do science, and then we're going to do social studies. So it's been kind of fun to go back and look back because I've changed over the years, right? As your kids grow, your curriculum changes. I don't use the same thing from year to year always. I get a little bored, shocking. So it's kind of fun to go back and look, and I had to go through the cupboards to look back through the resources sometimes to kind of jar my memory. But all right, so language arts. What you want to start?
Sure. Yeah. Ours is language arts is probably the one for me that is the most predictable. It's not my favorite. Therefore, I don't get the squirrel syndrome, right? Where you're doing something, you're ooh, squirrel or new shiny object. I just don't get roped in that way because I'm just not as passionate about language arts. So we've done where for history, where we love history, I'll change it up every year just because I find something new and amazing that I love that I want to add. But for ELA, it's super boring. We've been doing the same thing literally since our oldest daughter. Nothing has changed, you guys.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
It's so boring. I am a huge believer in not forcing kids to read at a young age. If they take that path on their own, I did have one daughter who took that path on her own, and she, I never actually had to teach her to read. She taught herself. And all of the rest of my kids, we don't start until they're about 8 or 9. And so we don't do any early phonics or anything like that, or minimal. A couple of my kids were young enough when Venture Upward started that they did some Venture Upward work, and there's some there. More now with new legislation changes, but other than that, we don't teach reading it or really any structured reading until 8 or 9. Of course, we're reading to them since, from basically the week that they're born, we're starting to read to them, and we read to them every day, multiple times a day. So there is that. But so anyways, the very first kind of exposure that they have, I guess I have to eat my words a little bit because we did briefly get caught with a new curriculum that we tried for a couple of years that I didn't love. I actually can't remember the name of it, but have you heard of Rod and Staff?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so I actually am missing my favorite book because I just remembered when I was pulling these things off my shelf, I remembered that I borrowed out my year 3, but I know exactly who I borrowed it to, so I'm gonna go chase it down actually after this. But we use these Rod and Staff books, and we start them in. I have a 2nd grade one. If I have a teacher, this is the teacher's manual actually, and then this one is the actual book, the student book. But we use these, maybe we dabble a little bit in 2nd grade if I feel like they're ready and they have the attention span, but not always. But we always do year 3. And so we do that in preparation for their work in classical conversations essentials, which is a 4th grade curriculum. It goes 4th, 5th, and 6th grade. And then I don't usually use book number 4, but if they speed through their year 3 by the end of the year, then we'll start to dabble into year 4. It is, I will just be super transparent that my kids hate this curriculum.
I tried it here.
It's so boring. It really is, but I always highly recommend it and borrow it to people whose kiddos are about to do classical conversations essentials for the first time, because it gives them such a good foundation. And so you're diagramming sentences and doing all those sorts of things. And so I don't have the third grade book to show you, but it looks just almost just like this, except different color. And there's a teacher's guide and a student guide, and you work through that. So that is what we do for those grades. And while we're in those 2 grades, so 2nd and 3rd grade, and sometimes 4th grade, have you guys done these Fix It grammar books? Mm-hmm. Love these too. Town Mouse, Country Mouse is the one that is my favorite. And really what you're doing, why I love it so much, is that you are reading through this book, right? So whatever book it is, and it's taking little sections and it's broken it down into days. The first thing is you're learning a concept. So you learn a concept, like how to use an apostrophe is the example this one is. And then you're going to read the sentence, and there's sentences right out of the book, like they're telling the whole story. And they've taken a great story and they put a ton of grammatical errors in it, and your kids are going to go and correct the errors. So it's fun. It's a good book. And so I use it where there's a need, when I have a kiddo who's struggling with some of those things. And then when my kids are in 4th grade, they're doing the Classical Conversations Essentials program. And we use, it's been a long, already. Yeah. I was thinking of his name, Andrew Poudoir's, IEW, and, IEW Excellence in Writing. It's in my personal humble opinion, one of the best writing curriculums that exists on the market. I love it because it has a lot of intensive parent training. So you go through some hours and hours of videos to learn how to properly administer the curriculum. And we do it in a co-op, but we still have to be trained as parents at home to help the kiddos. And there's spelling in there, there's grammar work, there's writing work, there's all kinds of things. They learn how to write well. And actually, when I started homeschooling my kiddos, I actually became a much better writer. And now I would consider myself an excellent writer. And part of it has to do with going through this curriculum so many times with my kids over the years. I don't ever recommend that a parent uses it without doing the parent training or doing it in a co-op style. And so really, really love that. And then for high school, my kids are doing the challenge program. And so they're doing all kinds of different, and I didn't pull all of that. I mostly just did the K through 8. And they're doing all kinds of literature and ELA stuff in those older years with the challenge in Classical Conversations.
Does the high school program use IEW too with Classical Conversations?
No, they use, let me pull it up here.
I'm not familiar enough with it to know. I'm just curious.
They use, there we go. I don't know why I can't think of the name of it. Like I said, it's been a really long day already. There we go.
To be fair, we're recording on Friday, and by Friday my brain is just mush. So
yeah, we don't normally record on a Friday.
No, we don't. There's a reason for that.
Why don't you talk about your K-8 stuff, and then I'll get my list pulled up for high school, and then we can bounce to high school.
All right. So again, like, we could not be more different, right? Like, we can be so similar in some ways and so different in the other. So my background is actually early childhood. My degree, one of my degrees is in early childhood. And so, and I used to be a kindergarten teacher, so a very long time ago. So I do typically teach reading a little bit younger. I had one kiddo that just wanted to do whatever her sister did. So my second kid just like taught herself to read, but it's super interesting. So I teach spalding, like phonics, like to my kids. And so she just memorized everything. So she was more of a sight reader than like a phonics reader. So she is like the world's worst speller still, like as an adult. Like she never really went back and like grasped all the spalding because she was like, I don't need it. She was like, I already know how to read, you know? So anyways, it's just so funny that the difference, and I only had one kid like that, but we use spalding. I've dabbled with the how to teach your kid to read in 100 easy lessons. Like the year that I had like 6 tiny little kids and I needed to teach a kid to read, I was like, well, let's just try this. And they hated it. It wasn't really the best. I didn't love it. I mean, I've used it and it was nice review. but like we got stuck in the first 10 lessons for it because I had, so like my tail end kids, so my first set of kids, super easy readers, like didn't really have a problem, like didn't really read, like love to read until they were probably in that 9, but they could, dabble. They read like the Dick and Jane books and things like that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
My last couple of, I've struggled, they've had some learning things, and so it's been a totally different ballgame. I remember coming to you and being like, what am I doing wrong? She's 9 and doesn't read. And you're like, chill out, it's okay. And so anyways, like it just, not every kid is the same, right? And so my last 2 have humbled me in that aspect of reading. But we have used, so when my kids are in their younger years, so like early elementary, I really like Writing with Ease. And that's the Susan Weiss Bauer one, where it's reading passages of literature, and then they're dictating back, and then they're doing copy work from the passages, so they're learning from good literature. And my tip for this one, because I have a million kids and it also makes language arts just a little more fun, is that books are consumable, right? So like you have I would separate the books out. So there's like the teacher portion that you're reading, and then there's like the worksheets that have like the copy work on them. Well, I put them in protectors, and they got to use a vis-a-vis marker to do their language arts. And I don't know why, but vis-a-vis markers, or anything that's not a regular number 2 pencil, is just magical and more exciting to do for language arts. So
vis-a-vis markers, are they these just like?
No, that's just a pen. So vis-a-vis markers are what? Do you remember like the old projectors that teachers used to have in their room? So there's like the skinny, they kind of look like a pen, but they're like come in fun colors, and they're like skinny. So it's like an expo marker, but it's not an X marker. I mean, I have some up there, but anyways, and then it wipes off. Like you have to use a wet thing. It doesn't come, like you can't smear it, like it stays, but you have to, like at the end of every year, we'd have to go through and like wipe down all the sheet protectors. But so that was something that so with all my early elementary kids, we did that. And then we did the what is the first language lesson. So it's like the grammar book, but it's like like you're reading it to them, and they're like learning, and we're just like talking about it and like doing activities. So it's very kind of like a hands-on way to kind of learn grammar. So nice. My younger kids, my younger elementary age kids, we do that sprinkled with like handwriting without tears, or a reason for handwriting. Yeah, so we did it. We started with a reason for handwriting, which is the one that has the letters, then it has like the Bible verse that they did at the end. So that was a reason for handwriting. And then I switched to handwriting without tears, which is fantastic. Like really good. I mean, I still have my kids do it, that one. They're still doing that one. Explode the Code is another really good resource for all kids, younger and older, right? I love those. So that's that. And then as those younger kids transitioned into older kids, we did IEW with groups. Like I never ever taught it by itself. We always taught it like in a co-op. Like I was actually the one that had taken the class and like learned it. So we taught it in co-op it's just more fun with friends. Yeah, like you do the lesson one day, and then they have their homework for the week. And I honestly haven't done it with my second set of kids. None of them have taken IW because we haven't done it in a co-op setting, and I just can't pull it together to do it for one kid. Like I'm the worst. So we did IW and Fix It Grammar. So when the kids were little, we also we had a couple of years, because I needed an easy button when I had a million little kids. We did that rod and staff where it has the books, like kind of the easy readers, the like leveled readers, and then it has like the workbok that went with it. So it was like the comprehension and the grammar and the spell. It was kind of like you read a chapter and then there was like some pages.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. We did that. And I hadn't remembered until you showed me that. And I was like, oh yeah. And then I tried the rod and staff level 3, and Sydney just about killed me. Like it was torture.
Yeah, I bet it is. It is.
So dry. So dry.
It is. It's boring.
Boring, yeah. Grammarland's another one that we've kind of incorporated for family school. I don't know if you've ever read Grammarland. You should do it with your girls. Okay, so it's a grammar story about a judge who is the judge of Grammarland, and they're bringing all of the errors, like, or the issues with grammar, like somebody's I'm trying to remember, like, but there's one where it's all about articles, and like somebody's stealing all of their things, or like it's a whole chapter about prepositions, but it's like people fighting over the prepositions, like, no, these are my words and these are my words, and where they go and how they divide. I don't know. I'm giving a very terrible explanation. It's super ancient. I mean, like it's old. But it's called Grammarland. It's like we just read a chapter, and then at the end, like you get to be you're the jury, and you have to like decide. Anyways, it's great. It's kind of it's fun. We've done that a few times. And And we would always do it. We would read a chapter of Grammarly, and then we would do, what do you call the little things? The grammar things. The stories with the silly words.
I have no idea.
Yeah, where you say like, give me an article or give me a noun, and then you read a story with the silly words in it. What's it called?
Oh. What are those called? The little
Mad Libs.
Mad Libs. That's
Mad
it.
Libs.
Yep.
So we're doing Mad Libs with it.
Yep.
Which is, I mean, that's like a fun way to do some language arts, right? I say that in quotation.
That's so
like,
good.
Yeah. So we do that as part of family school. And then for like spelling, I've used Spelling Power. I used that for a very long time. And then I tried Spelling UC one year, which is more kind of like the dictation where they like go through and they like highlight the, you know, I don't even know. I can't even remember. I only used that one year. My kids didn't love it. And then now we're using Good and Beautiful, which kind of encompasses all of those things, right? So Good and Beautiful, I love Good and Beautiful, and I had tried it like a long time ago but it's very teacher intensive. Like it needs a person to like sit with them. So there's not very much independent work, and it's like an everyday thing. So it depends upon my season for like if we can do that, right? So that's what my younger two are using this year. We've tried it with high school, but my high school fail, I think I might have said this before, was we tried the Good and the Beautiful. So the Good and the Beautiful is broken up in high school in like units, right? So there's, you know, like each unit is supposed to take 2 weeks. I say that in quotations. It's supposed to take 2 weeks. Well, my fail is when you hand the kid the thing and like, here you go, just like work your way through it. Well, it was like 6 weeks later and they were still working on the first book because there isn't like a set, like, hey, you have to do this. There's no due dates, like unless you're giving it to them. So anyways, that was a little bit of a rough like, oh wait, oops, on mom, right? And then so my older kids this year though are doing a CELUS, like Power Homeschool, like computer, and it just worked really well. I have my freshman, it's worked really well for her to kind of be a little bit more autonomous, like being able to do her own thing, but with very clear guidelines, like this is what you have to do today.
Yeah.
This is what you have to do today.
Then yeah.
So this is my first time we've ever done online school, like a purely online program, right, for my high schoolers with my last two. And Audrey just switched to it this year. She previously was kind of like using a bunch of different things, and she's like, life is crazy and I just need one place to go. Like, can I just so she tried it this year and she's really enjoyed it. And she's taken a lot of great classes. So this is our first time ever doing that, but it's been a good transition for Rory, and it's like an easy button for me, honestly. You just go in, you check, you see. So that's kind of our language arts journey. And again, it changes year to year, kid to kid. But there's a gamut, right?
For sure. And you said a lot of good ones. So it's been such a long time, right? Since besides the baby, my youngest is in 6th grade. Going into 6th grade. And so I forgot about some of those. Explode the Code. We definitely have used Explode the Code. And we use that right around 8 or 9. Such a good book. I mean, and I think parents initially are not drawn to it because it kind of looks like a rod and staff in that it's just dry. It looks dry because it's black and white. But the kids love it because it's like a puzzle. Like you're unlocking a puzzle. It feels fun. And so my kids have really loved that too. And then I forgot to mention, we do starting when our kids are 4, we start memory work for classical conversations, and every week they're memorizing a sentence for a bunch of subjects, but one of them is ELA. So they'll memorize like, what is a pronoun, the definition of a pronoun, the definition of a noun. So a lot of that stuff. So here I say we don't do anything really until 4th or 5th, but we're setting those pegs, right? Like we are. So by the time they get to 8 or 9 years old, they know what a noun is because they've memorized that since they were 4. And there's a different people that they're memorizing. And then the other thing, and we do some Mad Libs too. Although, I always forget to count that as school because it just feels so fun. But it really is school.
It is school.
I need to remind myself of that. Okay, so for the high school, the word that I could not think of before is the lost tools of writing. Is what we use 6th and 7th grade. Or not 6th and 7th, sorry. 7th and 8th grade, they use the lost tools of writing. And it's pretty good. We use it for, I guess, 7th. challenge A, B, and 1. So 7th, 8th, and 9th grade. And then they do a lot of like literature based stuff too. So we're doing a lot of they do Newbery Award books and short stories, and then American literature. And then they use a lot of the, what are they called here? But they use some books that help explore short stories and things like that as well. And then this is really interesting, something that Classical Conversations does. I can take no credit for it, but they also start learning Latin from a really young age. And in the older grades, they use Latin as their grammar. So they're learning grammar concepts through Latin. So that's worked really well for us. And honestly, by the time my kids are in not just my kids, like Classical Conversations in general, by the time that they're going in as a freshman, most of them have all of the ELA concepts through high school already completed and, put to memory and practice. And so, And then I forgot all about handwriting. We do cursive still. Actually, I'm really behind with my next set of littles on cursive. We need to get cracking because they're already, like I said, Hannah is going into 6th grade and Corey's going into technically she's going into 8th grade, but she's doing a 9th grade program with Mia. And so I need to get them going on cursive writing because it is important to me that they know how to write cursive before they graduate. And that's actually been interesting for us. I don't know if you teach cursive or not, but that's where I usually see that flip in handwriting, like messy handwriting. And then once they kind of see it more of as an art, like, oh, you can do cursive writing, it's very beautiful, then I see an improvement on handwriting. And so I'm hoping that's still true for my littles as it was for my older kiddos. But
it's funny, Grady's cursive is beautiful. His handwriting is atrocious. Like his regular handwriting. It's so funny. And I was like, why can't you just do that all the time? He's like, it's too much work.
Oh, yeah. And I think
cursive.
Two of my girls, Corey and Hannah, they do have pretty decent handwriting. Corey has actually pretty good handwriting, but I forgot all about handwriting without tears. That
you should buy those cursive
that
books.
Memories. I have them. Yeah.
You already have them?
The what? What?
You already have the workbooks?
The handwriting without tears?
Yeah.
I have all that stuff. Yeah, we use it all the time.
I know, but they're consumable, so don't you have to buy a new one?
So those ones I think I made copies of, or I did a lot of, because I have this ink allergy, right? Like it's so weird. So a lot of our books I've cut the binding off of and then put
sheet protectors.
Sheet protectors, yep. And then we had the little chalkboards, do you remember, for handwriting without tears? So we use those a lot too. I'll have to look and see if I would need to buy new ones for our baby, which is, she's not going to need it for many years.
Oh, yeah. You could totally do the vis-a-vis thing, though, with those.
Vis-a-vis, that's the markers that you're talking about?
Yeah, on the sheet protectors.
Yeah, that's a good idea. But yeah, that's what we always did, was put them in sheet protectors and markered them. Or I made copies because but I can't remember for sure. There's several, this is part of what I love about homeschool curriculum authors. There's so many curriculums that say if you are using this for your own personal family, you can make copies, which I so appreciate when they put that in there, because that just tells you they understand what it means to be a homeschooling family. And they don't have to buy 50 million copies.
I was like, one of the things about those, because they're not very expensive, they're like $10, right?
Yeah.
The kids liked, like, that was the one thing they got that was new, right? Was their handwriting book. So I've never done that one as a like, whatever, like having them make copies. Because that was just one, it's easier to not make copies. I mean, there were times that I have, but that was like the one thing that they always got that was like the new thing.
I think that's important too, like, because the back to school vibe, right? Like all the kids are going and getting new book bags and we do that. We participate in that too. Like we go and we get the back to school supplies, and it is nice. I agree, to let them have like, this is your new book, and not, like my poor youngest Hannah, by the time she's in Challenge, which starts in a few years for Classical Conversations, she like her books they're so worn, they're well loved. There you go, they're well loved. But yeah, well, it's so funny how different we are, but we had some overlap, so that was fun too.
Yeah. All right, this was awesome. Okay, so next week come back and we'll be talking all about math. All right, everybody, have a great week.
Bye.